Hello and welcome to the Hungry Heracross. Some people wrongly think that video games are bad for you. They may argue that it teaches you disgusting habits and that they make you a violent and horrible person. Well, next time someone says that to you, show them Skyward Sword, because in this Zelda title, you are actively rewarded for helping people. When assisting others during the various side quests, you earn gratitude crystals, which then lead to some awesome rewards. From healing the wounded to finding lost items, these side quests provide some delightful bits of gameplay, and in today's video, I'm going to rank each of them from worst to best. For this list, I'm only including side quests that reward you gratitude crystals, and I'll count those with alternate endings as a combined entry. For this ranking, I'm factoring in the cutscenes, gameplay, NPCs involved, and the overall story. But before we start talking side quests, if you're new here, I post videos every week where I rank, analyze, and create all things Zelda and Pokemon. So if you're a fan of either series, hit subscribe so you don't miss future videos. With that out the way, we've got 12 side quests to rank, so let's jump to it. Kicking things off, we have a quest involving Birdie, one half of the endearing couple running the potion shop. This lad just wants to sleep after a hard day's work, but he can't because his baby's lost its rattle and won't settle without it. So because there's no toy shop to buy a new one, you are tasked with finding this missing item and bringing peace to the household. It's a nice premise, and I feel for this family. It must be really tricky having a baby that won't settle. However, surely they can get Gonzo to make a new rattle, because getting this is an absolute pain. You need to claw shot up above Skyloft's waterfall and then glide down onto a roof where the rattle lies in a nest. I'm sure for some people, landing on the windmill was easy, but for me, I find this task to be the hardest thing to do in the game. I absolutely hate trying to land on this spot, and I reckon it takes me at least 5 to 10 tries to get there in each playthrough. That pain extenuates when it takes about a minute to get back to the top of the waterfall to fail again and again. After returning the rattle to Birdie, he looks relieved, so that's heartwarming, but there's no interesting dialogue or funny cutscene to make this interaction feel memorable. So even putting aside my personal anguish with the task itself, I feel that there's enough justification here to rate this as the worst side quest in the game. Poor Fledge. He's not the most physically gifted individual. He's the only student who doesn't compete in the wing ceremony, and he's not even able to help the old lady lift things around the kitchen. But something early in the game inspires him to train, and I admire that he's determined to get strong. In this side quest, you give him a few stamina potions that help him do more push-ups, which make him jacked. Not that we get to see him all muscly, but he's doing hundreds of push-ups and lifting heavy items with ease. I like the idea of seeing a character train and grow throughout the side quest, but I don't like how it was executed. Fledge has an unhealthy reliance on stamina potion, which feels like he's on a steroid addiction. I think this quest would have worked better if we did other things to help Fledge get stronger. I guess you can keep the potion as part of it, but add in a race with him around the town, or have an obstacle course, or some other heavy lifting activity. Completing this side quest unlocks the pumpkin pool minigame, and perhaps that could have been better incorporated throughout the task too. The reward is nice, but buying the same item over and over and the rather dull dialogue prevent it from being one of the better side quests in the game. Upon placing the ruby tablet in the statue of the goddess, you come across a panicked Rhina who can't find her daughter Kukiel. Quick side note, a lot of these characters have names with unclear pronunciations, so hopefully with the gameplay footage it makes sense who I'm talking about. Anyway, there's a missing girl and the whole town seems concerned. And by that, I mean they say they're worried, but no one's actually doing anything. But that doesn't matter. You're already saving the world. Why not add a little girl to the mix? The missing girl coincides with rumours of a monster, and as fate would have it, the two are linked. After disturbingly pushing gravestones, you find a secret passage that leads you to this scary monster's house. And dun dun dun, the monster has Kukiel. But as this is a family-friendly game, The monster is a harmless soul named Batreaux. Turns out they're just friends who like to have screaming contests. Still a little creepy, but at least everyone's safe. Rhina's relieved and the townsfolk are happy. This is probably the easiest side quest in the game, but it's got a few fun moments, so it's not a complete fizzer. It's really here to introduce you to Batreaux, who establishes the concept of gratitude crystals. When you complete all the side quests and give him 80 crystals, he turns into a human, which I really like. It's a nice story reward for completing the game's side content, much better than a giant poop or fat sack of rupees. A few side quests have you utilising Scrapper to retrieve an item or person from the surface for someone in the sky. They're all a bit of fun with similar beats, and I find this one to be the weakest. Instructor Alan is a forgettable character who I don't really care for. His request to find a new plant takes us to Farron Woods, where you signal out a poor Kiwi to take him to the lab, I guess? There's some good interactions between Link, Scrapper, Fi and Ulu, the chosen Kiwi, particularly when Ulu gets defensive about his shoulders. But it gets overshadowed by other Scrapper side quests that have better dialogue, NPCs and cutscenes. I'm also slightly concerned for Ulu's safety back on Skyloft. I hope he can adjust to the climate. Most citizens in Skyloft contribute to society by either running a shop or helping out with the academy. Not Malara though, she doesn't seem to do anything. This woman can be seen in different parts of town at various points in the game, but for the most part, she's just chilling in her house, rambling about her dislike for household chores. Once you've acquired the Gust Bellows, Mallard will offer to pay you for blowing away all the mess. It's enjoyable to destroy her belongings as you clean, and it's a bit strange that she doesn't seem fazed by it. Mallard's a bit odd, and things get a bit awkward when she says not to tell her son Pippet what's just occurred. Whilst the side quest technically ends here, given you've received the gratitude crystals, the most memorable moments come shortly after. When you next pass the family's home at night, you'll overhear Pippet yelling at Mallard for spending his hard-earned money on tasks she really should be doing herself. Young Pip seems to have some anger issues, and Lady Mallard has some difficulty budgeting. They've got some matters to work through, and unfortunately there isn't another side quest that has you playing family counsellor. The interactions are quite good, albeit concerning, but there's better ones to be seen. Dodo has to be one of the most expressive characters in the game, and he gets to display his emotional range throughout this side quest. When you meet him following the Isle of Songs, he's the dejected man who's just dropped his wheel off the island. It's sad, but that's one of the risks of trying to set up a game on a small floating piece of mass. Not to worry, because Scrapper is here once again to save the day. On the surface, I enjoy the added challenge of having to hit the time shift stone and shuffle across the ledge to find the wheel. It's the same level of involvement as the other Scrapper quest, but this one feels a little more rewarding. Once again, we get a witty remark from the robot before he throws the wheel at the feet of Dodo. The man's pure joy is priceless, and his happiness is infectious. The quest is just fun throughout, made even better by Dodo opening his high dive game now that he has his wheel back. A common trend I've noticed is that people go missing in Skyward Sword. After finding Kukiel, you'll learn that a woman named Orielle hasn't returned since going for a fly. Her concerned brother Parrow asks you to find her, which you'll do because who can say no to this guy? Upon finding Orielle, you'll learn that her loftwing is injured, so you'll need to head back to her brother to get some medicine and then bring it back to Orielle so she can heal her bird. It's a bit of travelling, but nothing too strenuous. I also think the siblings have a really sweet relationship, which is something we don't see too much in the series. A rather simple detour that shows some character growth for two of Skyloft's NPCs. Pumpkins seem to be the main source of food for those living in the sky, so it would make sense to have a strong team working the harvest. But no, it's just Kina, who is also trying to juggle her singing career, making her one of the busiest people in the game. Thankfully, she's not too proud to ask for help, and you're tasked with finding the most suitable being for the job, As fun as it would be to grab any old civilian, looking at you, Malara, the Minigame Goal is the only creature you can choose to help Kina. The hardest part of this side quest is finding him, but once you do, things get fun. Vi calls Scrapper to take Goal to the surface, and I love how Scrapper just doesn't really care about him. He calls the Mogma an old man, and then just drops him on the ground when you get back to Kina. It's a definite step up from the interactions with Ulu. I love that Gould is disappointed that he's been brought to work rather than dig for treasure. It just adds to the hilarity of this side quest. Although, he does hint at a potential love interest, so perhaps he'll change his tune in the short time. A character that you may have missed in Skylof's Bazaar is Sparrow. He's the fortune teller that doesn't have much to offer unless you're stuck and don't want to use the internet. But towards the end of the game, once you've defeated the imprisoned for the second time, he too has gone missing. Well, kinda. He's just sulking at home because his crystal ball is broken, and of course we gotta find him a new one. I'd be really interested to see how it broke. Was he shooting hoops of it, or did Pippet break it when he was having a meltdown? Either way, it's pretty ironic that he couldn't foresee this disaster. The side quest itself plays out similarly to the one for Dodo, where Scrapper retrieves an item from the surface. While Sparrow isn't the most exciting character, Scrapper's antics in the cutscenes elevate this quest. I love how the robot has a go at Link, accusing him of getting all the easy jobs. Then at the end, he just drops the ball on the table from a height that probably could have shattered the crystal. The fact that Scrapper seems to have no regard for the ball makes me chuckle every time. It's a close call between all of these fetch quests, but this one just nudges ahead of the others. Beedle is a bit of a jerk in this game. He continues to increase the price of pouches, and he tries to murder you when you don't buy any items from his shop. But later in the game, he tells you he's lost his favourite beetle, which tugs at the heartstrings. It makes you want to put aside all that negativity and help this man find his prized bug. Maybe this just hits a little too close to home, as I'd be devastated if my Heracross plushie went missing. But I digress. This side quest has you travelling to Bug Rock, where a very smug Sturge gloats that he has Beetle's bug. He's not a complete douche and offers to give back the Horned Colossus Beetle if you can complete the minigame in a decent time. I recently ranked the minigames, which you can check out here if you want to do so later, but as a teaser, I rate this quite highly. It's a lot of fun and a rather fitting challenge to retrieve the missing item. Taking it back to Beedle makes for a cozy moment, and he even gives you a discount the next time you shop. Looks like things are all rosy. Throughout Skyward Sword, it's implied that there is something romantic going on between Link and Zelda, but nothing concrete. Unlike this next side quest about a very clear love story. Petrus is the lady who works at the item check. At first she couldn't really care about you, but after a few interactions of dropping off and picking up items, her tone starts to change. Before too long, Petrus falls in love with you. And I mean, who can blame her, right? In her mind, you're only coming back to the item check to see her. So where to from here? Upon visiting Petrus's house at night, you'll have a chance to speak with her dad Peter, the guy from the bamboo cutting gang. He is not impressed that his daughter has found someone special and asks you to deal with it. Poor bloke doesn't realise you're that special someone. From here, you've got two choices. You can break Petrus's heart and she'll be devastated, spending the rest of the game trying to get over you. Or you can profess your feelings for the item check girl, telling her it's true love. Decisions. What makes this side quest so good is seeing Petrus change over the course of the game. It's pretty sweet that she's excited to see you, and in truth, it makes me excited to visit the item check to see what her next overreaction will be. Both options provide some nice moments, especially with Petrus. It's kind to see that she wants to keep your love a secret if you do tell her you like her, and her sadness when she's rejected is portrayed really well. Peter's also got some funny dialogue, but mate, he'd be a scary father-in-law. The only downside to this quest is that you can only choose one option, meaning you miss out on some fun scenes and dialogue. That still, it provides one of the best NPC interactions throughout the series. In my opinion, the Deliver a Letter side quest is the best in the game. It starts after someone in the bathroom asks you for paper. Townsfolk have been talking about how they've heard a woman crying in the bathroom at night, so we're off to an eerie start. The next morning you catch Coleman with a love letter, leading to a hilarious cutscene. He wants you to give this paper to an older student, Coraine, but the game has you looking over to the toilet. Coleman begs you not to give the letter to the creep, but he's also been a jerk this whole game, so who cares what he thinks? From here you got two options. You can be nice, fulfill his request, and give the letter to Coraine. As you do, you'll learn that she actually has feelings for Pippet. Chatting to all three in the love triangle results in an amazing cutscene where Coraine gets with Pippet and Coleman runs to his room crying. This option is packed with top-notch dialogue, especially with Coleman, who takes a moment to realise his rejection. Alternatively, you can pass the paper to the woman in the bathroom who happens to be a floating hand. After a series of memorable interactions, Coleman is devastated that he didn't pass the note on to Coraine. He goes crying to his room where he is comforted by that creepy hand. As it so happens, she became infatuated with the student after reading his sweet letter. Coleman though seems a bit weirded out. Definitely one of the stranger relationships in the Zelda series. Each scene throughout the side quest is memorable, packed with hilarious moments and some of the best dialogue in the game. Whilst I'm not the biggest fan of the split endings, I do love how both finish horribly for Coleman. He's been nothing but a nuisance since the start, so I've got no sympathy for what happens to him. All in all, this is a fantastic side quest, well worthy to be crowned Skyward Sword's best. But that's just my side quest ranking. What's yours? Be sure to let me know your favourite and least favourite down in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with a friend. I've got one more Skyward Sword video planned before I jump into some Majora's Mask content, so hit subscribe if you don't want to miss out on any of that. I will be running a few polls on Instagram ahead of next month's video, so if you want to get involved, you can follow me there. Search Hungry Heracross or click the link in the description. But until then, I hope you stay safe, stay kind, and I'll catch you next time on the Hungry Heracross.